Welcome, DJ Chris Moore. Thanks for joining us. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for joining us. We always like to have a little video interview for our couples to check out our DJs and see what they're all about. Tell me more about how long you've been DJing and when did you first start DJing?
Well, I've been DJing a little over 30 years now. I started actually back when I was in high school, believe it or not. Got started through a job fair in high school, and the local DJ company was looking for some people to help them out, hauling gear and assisting at weddings, and got involved in doing that and instantly fell in love with it and worked for several years as an assistant DJ, learning the business and worked my way up and eventually became a DJ myself doing weddings and eventually moved to a different company years later and worked there for several years. And the owner of that company eventually retired. I wound up buying him out and rest is history. I've been a DJ for a lot of years. And I just love doing it. It's something that's been in my blood for a long time, and I just love working with couples and, making their day special.
That is awesome. Love to hear how you kind of just fell into it, but seemed like you had this spark and that really ignited you to hone that craft and eventually own it for yourself. Since you've been doing so many, what role does the wedding DJ play at most weddings?
Well, I think the DJ plays a very important role at the wedding. It's not just a guy playing music, just hitting that play button. The DJ is really the person who helps coordinate the entire event from start to finish. As a DJ, I spend a ton of hours prepping before the wedding, not just on the music, but really on, getting to know the couple, helping to make their day special from the timeline to the different events that are happening throughout the wedding, making sure that things run smoothly. I coordinate with all the different vendors that are there, get an understanding of what they need. As a DJ, I've done everything from clear plates off the head table. I've filled champagne glasses before the best man toast, released tables to the buffet. You name it. My years of doing this, there isn't many things that I haven't seen happen at a wedding or helped out in some way.
Absolutely. I love that you're willing to just jump in and lend an extra hand when they need that, just to help keep the timeline moving along. You're kind of looking at things, what's missing, what do we need before we start working with vendors. It's so important because it's not just about great music, just helping everything run smoothly and being a part of
Mhm.
that larger piece of the puzzle. With all the weddings you've done, how many weddings would you say you've done by now? Have you lost count?
I really have. It's been so many.
It's gotta be like 3, 4, 500 plus. I mean, even
It
1,000 after
is.
30 years? Gosh.
I run into people all the time where, "Hey, you DJ'd my wedding." In weddings that I go to now that I'm actually DJing at, people come up to me and say, "Hey, I know you, and you did such a great job, and we so glad to see you again. I'd like to introduce you to our kids." And it's just great to see couples that I've been able to help get their life started off in a positive direction and been able to have an impact on them.
Yes, absolutely. Do you have a specialty in the style of music or genre that you like to play? Do you offer custom music? Can you kinda, flex into whatever the couple's looking for?
Yes, absolutely. I'm able to really adapt to whatever the couple is looking for. I think I'm really good at reading the room and the crowd and keeping that dance floor moving. Really knowing what to play at the right time of the evening is really what any good DJ is going to do. And also working with the couple in the crowd. I mean, there's some songs that I thought, "Oh, there's no way this is going to work," but it does because it's what these people want. And it's knowing that ahead of time, working with the couple is really something you need to do as a DJ.
Absolutely, and it's kind of that perfect balance between what our previous experience has said about what songs work and don't work, and then you
Mhm.
have some songs that also myself absolutely surprised me on how well they do on the dance floor, 'cause it's something that might be an inside joke or something that brought back a memory for them, so it's important to kinda customize that music for them. With that being said, reading the room, kinda taking suggestions, do you take song requests from the guests as well?
Absolutely. If they want me to. There's some couples I worked with, they don't want us to take requests. If it's rare, but it does happen. They have their preset list of music that they want us to work off. That's fine. Or we can read the room. We can take requests from guests. work off a list from the bride and groom. That's great too. It's really whatever the bride and groom wants.
It's good to have that adaptability and flexibility with the weddings because no two weddings are the same. Yes, a lot of similar elements, but again, just that customization aspect I think is important to the couple and as well as their guests because they know their guests pretty well on what music they might like as well. From all the weddings that you've done, do you have a favorite story or favorite feedback you've heard from couples? You mentioned earlier just how much they love having you there. Is this kind of like what all the couples have been saying, or is there anything that stands out in particular?
Well, I've gotten a lot of great reviews over the years for the weddings that I've been at. I remember one instance in particular. I was at a wedding in the Dells. We were outside. It was one of the resorts there. And at this particular resort, the wedding was outside in a tent, and we were about to do the introductions before dinner. And I had everyone lined up outside the tent to make their grand entrance into the tent. And right after, the plan was to go and cut the cake. And it was a warm day. And first I noticed they didn't have any champagne out for the toast, and they were going to do that shortly after as well. So I made sure that those glasses were full. I had taken care of that. But I then noticed that there was no cake. We were supposed to cut the cake immediately after the introductions were done. So I had to go and find the cake, which nobody seemed to know where it was. So it took me a couple minutes to track it down. I'm going to put it in the refrigerator to keep it cool, but able to finally track that down, get that brought out, and put it on a special table, obviously, but get that pulled out and get that put where it needed to be. And then we were able to move forward with the introductions. The bride and groom were very thankful that I was able to get that done for them. And then the wedding was a huge success. At this particular wedding, they were big Star Wars fans. They had a choreographed lightsaber dance with the bride and her father, which was just spectacular.
Nice.
It was great. And also the first times I'd seen this at a wedding, the bride and groom did crowd surfing.
Nice.
Never seen a bride do crowd surfing before in a wedding dress.
Oh, wow. I've seen them do chairs in the air, but never the actual person like crowd surfing like that.
Not chairs. The bride and groom, they did crowd surfing at their wedding, and they had it all planned out. So it was a great time and a great wedding. I still keep in touch with that bride and groom.
Nice. I love that. One thing you noted about that was just before the Grand March, you were planning for the cake cutting. You noticed it wasn't even there. So here you are coordinating things in the background to make sure each piece of that timeline fits well together because it would be awkward to have Grand March going into an awkward pause. We have to wait for a cake. Let's figure things out. You jumped in to have that handled. I've had cakes where the cakes existed, but the cut was not available. So we had to find that before. So
Sure.
those are things we kind of think about having these previous experiences with weddings that we just kind of know what the timeline is, what to expect, what things to look out for. Super important. With all the weddings that you've done, do you specialize in a certain style of wedding, or are you open and have you done a lot of multicultural weddings as well, where maybe it's a mixed crowd and different styles of music?
I'm open. I've done a lot of mixed type weddings.
Very nice.
So yeah, I've done a lot of all different cultures. So those are not a problem at all. And again, I like to make the day as stress-free as possible for the bride and groom. You mentioned not having the cutlery. I've seen that before, and something I always make sure. Well, one of the other things I always do is before I do any of the special dances, like a parents dance or anything like that, I try and always avoid those awkward moments. So as you sure people have been to weddings that the DJ gets on the microphone and says, "Okay, it's time for so and so to come to the dance floor now," and DJ gets on the microphone and announces it, and then they can't be found. That'll never happen with me because I always make sure those special people are in the room and ready to go before we do any of those special dances that involve them.
I love that. Just that little bit of planning can help things run more smoothly. Things that most
Right.
people wouldn't notice that are even happening in the background, but you're out there making it happen, making it work for everyone, and just kind of making sure you keep your hand to the pulse there to make sure everything's going well.
Absolutely. I can't tell you how many times I've had to go track down a photographer who's outside smoking when it's time to do a special dance.
Oh no, and we need the photographers for the special dances. That's super important. We
Absolutely.
love those moments.
Absolutely. I always make sure that those guys are in the room and ready to go when we're doing any of that sort of stuff.
Nice, nice. I love that. So, is there anything that you usually chat about with some of the wedding couples? Things you ask them or talk about that we maybe haven't chatted about yet here tonight?
Well, I talk about their vision. What are they looking for in their DJ? What special things are they looking for their day? What are their music tastes? I have a questionnaire that typically has all those things on it that I ask them to complete, and that's done in advance. And then we go through it in detail prior to the wedding. We talk about the timeline, we talk about the music. I can offer them the ability to do texting where the guests are able to text requests directly to me. I can activate that feature on site as long as there's Wi-Fi available if they want me to take requests. A lot of different options that I make available to them. And we go through all that stuff prior to the wedding, several times leading up to the wedding. And then we'll have a final planning meeting a couple weeks before the wedding to go through everything in painstaking detail.
But those things are so important to make sure everyone's on the same page, make sure that they try to communicate through the sheet is something that you understood and communicate back because even sometimes things can change or
Mhm.
they may be misunderstood on a piece of what this meant. So it's important to go through everything and go through every last detail just to
Sure.
make sure everyone is happy at the end of the day and expectations are met.
So one of the things I like to do is say, for example, we talked about doing introductions of the wedding party. And I found over my many years of doing this, orders of the wedding party may change. And sometimes even people in the wedding party will change. Whether or not we're going to do the little ones, I speak to them. I actually do my introductions standing right with the wedding party. And I'll make sure I'm right there with them. I'll be out of the view of the pictures, but I'll be right there to make sure everyone is in proper order. I can get their names right then and there, and that I'm able to run it much more smoothly that way.
Yes, absolutely. I love doing that too. It gives you a chance to meet with the wedding party a little bit. They're all
Mhm.
very amped up and excited at that moment about what kind of fun thing they're going to do before they burst into the reception hall. But that's our opportunity as DJs to go through
Sure.
pronunciations, make sure the order is correct, or like you said, sometimes people
100%.
change. So, yeah, just good on you for recognizing that and using that as a part of the experience just to make it run more smoothly for everyone.
That's for sure.
Absolutely. Now, Chris, I have one last question for you. What are some of your go-to songs to either start a dance floor off or just to reignite a dance floor? Maybe there's a late night snack that came through or something distracted them. Do you have some go-to songs that are kind of great for any wedding?
Well, there's always the classic songs. There's always the wedding songs you hear at every wedding, the slides, the cha-cha slide, so on and so forth. And of course, there's some newer songs that are out there right now that I've been playing, but I don't really have a go-to per se. It really depends upon the crowd, the vibe of the crowd, and what I think is going to work at the time.
Absolutely.
But
Because I can't even tell you how many times I've thought about switching a song where I originally thought one song would go really well with this one, but suddenly the room changes, vibes are different, and our intuition tells us to try something different. And usually trusting our gut works the best, right? When you're kind of reading the room and seeing what people like.
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there's songs played years ago from the 80s. There's like Celebration and Madonna and all of those. Some of that still works and people love, and some crowds it works great, and others they just stand there and get shit. What is this stuff?
Absolutely. Well, it's good to go back to some of your typical wedding classics, the songs that
Sure.
most generations enjoy and at least know of. And each crowd's a little bit different, but as you read the room and see what they like or dislike, that kind of changes your set list and playlist going forward. Just keep people engaged and keep people dancing. So far, the couples have loved your work. All the feedback we've gotten from them has been super positive. So you're doing a great job. You're knocking it out of the park. They love having you there. So we're so excited to have you on the team. We appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
Thank you so much.